and welcome back to another episode of The Loud Bostonian. Today we were doing my review of the movie Creed 2. With me, my good buddy Dave from the Venom review and the Other Thoughts video. So, we just got back from the movie. Let's just jump right into it. Dave's obviously giving you his background music for the Creed movie and all Rocky movies. So, I guess before we even jump into this movie, what did you think of the original Creed?
Creed 1?
Yes.
Ooh. I'm a fan. I like it more than your dog. I don't know if that's coming through, but whatever.
I hope my dog's whining is not picking up on this microphone right now.
Well, it's definitely now in the podcast as we talked about it.
That's sure.
Yeah.
There might be a dead dog by the end of this podcast.
Oof, that's rough.
Mm-hmm.
No,
all right, Creed 1.
Creed 1. On that one, it was dog meat. No, Creed 1's good. It's solid. It was a good shot of much needed adrenaline into the franchise. Because, I mean, they had literally made every possible Rocky story you could make with Rocky, outside of him getting cancer and being a trainer. So, they
did that one.
Yeah, so they did that one. But they did it well. And, they did a real good... And then both Creed 1 and 2 have done this. They respected the source material while making it unique and its own thing. Mm-hmm. And I think it was cool to see the whole battle for the legacy, the mantle. Right. Are you worthy of the name? I thought that was a good arc in Creed 1.
Yeah, I agree.
I liked the symmetry with Rocky 1 and how they end and how it ends.
Yeah.
Right? I think that was
just
great.
go in the distance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, go the distance and then the guy can't win. The fact that that's what makes Rocky 1 so timeless is that he loses. Yeah. He fights the good fight. But
he was never even spoke. The thing that makes Rocky 1 so good is that it really is just the tale of a guy who has just been a schlub fighter his whole life, and he just gets the opportunity to face somebody great and goes toe to toe with them. And that's what makes it unbelievable, and that's what makes Creed 1 unbelievable.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing about Rocky 1, right? Mick gets all mad at him because he goes, you had the talent, kid, but you never had the heart. Right? The whole thing is he gets picked, and so his whole thing is to show him that he's got the heart.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so that's cool, and it's
it kind of counters Adonis's. Your father was this great fighter. What are you showing to the world?
Right.
It's like a similar story arc with coming from different angles.
Well, it was more where's your heart, kid? Right, and it's interesting because the journey continues in Creed 2, right? It's really where's your heart, kid? And it's really it's interesting. Yeah. And so
Creed 2, the first trailer when it dropped, obviously I've said it before on my podcast. When I saw that at work, I literally stood up at my desk and went, "Holy shit!"
I know.
Because the Drago reveal was unbelievable. So this movie had me. I was going to see it no matter what. I'm obviously a huge Rocky fan, so the history with the Dragos I was sold. I mean, you can't really. I mean, I'm not sure that there'll be a Creed 3 as a result of this movie, because what could you really do story-wise that is bigger than this one?
Mr. T's kid.
But Mr. T is no.
Clubber Lang Jr.
No. They can't retread all the old Rocky villains.
What it is it's now the Rocky franchise, they've paid all the homage, so now they can enter into new territory,
whatever they want,
right? So that's the thing about Creed 3 is that hell, they probably said this after Rocky 2, right? He wins at the end of Rocky 2, he beats Apollo, happy story, end of the thing. There was no space for a Rocky 3 after Rocky 2.
How about Rocky? I mean, this is just going off tangent a little bit, but I'm sure there'll be tons of
Well, before we go too far off tangent, I have to get into the fact that Rocky 4, most important film ever made, ended the Cold War.
It didn't, though, because it started up again.
Well, listen, they put it to bed for 30 plus years.
That's true. Maybe Creed 2.
The original Cold War
put an end to the current Russia and all that stuff.
Well, so that's been my take from the Drago reveal in Creed 2 was that Rocky 4 ends the Cold War. Creed 2 will end the Mueller report. So at some point in the next week or two, the Mueller report drops.
Yeah, and
because boom, Creed 2 came out. You're welcome, America.
That's right. But no, it's funny that in the Rocky movies in general, between Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, what movies can you ever say that literally go the first movie, this guy, the hero's gonna fight this guy. The second movie, the hero's gonna fight the same guy.
Yeah.
You know, that never happens in any of those. Like, it would be like if Bloodsport 2, if there ever, I don't even know if there is a Bloodsport 2, but if there was,
There is, and it's not good.
But it'd be like if Jean-Claude Van Damme fought friggin' Chun-Li again.
Well, you'd have to lose him in number one for it to be worth it, right? Like,
What if the story of Bloodsport 2 is Chun-Li's
beats Frank Dukes.
Beats Fred Dukes.
Well, unfortunately for Chung Lee, Frank Dukes ran that shit for like 10 years.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
He would
like,
never
the
do
true
that. He
story
would
of
never write that.
Bloodsport,
Oh,
Frank
God.
Dukes just won and won and won and
Yeah,
won.
well, it's because he's a fucking liar. That guy. Did you ever read his stories?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
no.
my God, it's
I don't know. I only know the Bloodsport story.
If you Google like Frank Dukes, like there's literally a Fred Dukes. What's his name? Frank or Fred? Frank.
Frank, I believe.
Frank Dukes.
Yeah.
If you Google it, it's literally like a long list of these things he says is true that he did, but then there's all these sources being like, that is bullshit. So it's like, he's just a dude. He's like the dude in Tropic Thunder that like pretends to have hook hands, and he never actually saw a battle.
Fair enough. That Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, Tropic Thunder. He's the guy, he wrote the book for Tropic Thunder that they're making the adapted movie of. It's, what's his face?
Tom Cruise.
No,
I
80s style.
know.
I can't think of it.
Tom
Tom Cruise is in it, though.
Lev Grossman.
What's his
Which,
name?
by the way, on that weird one, Lev Grossman totally has to be a rip on Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, yeah,
I never
wicked bad.
connected that dot
Yeah,
until
yeah.
like we started, because I haven't thought about Tropic Thunder since Harvey Weinstein
Yeah.
got exposed for like fondling a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But-
Yep.
wow, that has nothing to do with Creed 2.
Nothing. Quite the tangent. But hey, it started in a good place. Back to Creed 2. So obviously I was excited for Creed 2. I know you were excited for Creed 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's probably
I thought it was
my favorite
initial
franchise.
thought. I thought it was pretty damn good. I mean, it was. You said it on the way in here. It is a hodgepodge of Rocky 2 through 4.
Oh, yeah. In one movie, they managed to pay homage to Rocky 2, Rocky 3, and Rocky 4.
Yeah.
And, if you're fans of the original franchise, there is some incredible Easter eggs in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, just absolutely, like, I was squealing like a fangirl in my seat, like, in the final fight scene. Like, I couldn't help it. I was like, I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
And I was totally okay with it.
It's great. Honestly, these Creed movies are really good. They, like you said, the Rocky movies were kind of pittering out with Rocky 5 and Rocky Balboa was okay.
Balboa was okay, but
This
like,
one, these two movies, they definitely feel like they fit the mold of what the Rocky movies could have been if they were all good, So,
well, I was just going to joke. After Rocky Balboa, what else could he fight is death. But I mean,
Literally
that
death.
literally is what he does in Creed.
Yeah.
He beats cancer. So now he's beaten cancer.
with the help of the money that Adonis Creed wins.
Now he's beaten loneliness.
There's some things that are ties to the Rocky movies that I feel like this didn't need. Like I heard that what's his face from This Is Us was going to be back in this movie as Rocky's son, and it just that storyline makes no sense to me because at the end of Rocky Balboa, he and his son connect again, and it's like he's there for his dad, and he like is in his corner and all this stuff, and suddenly they have another falling out. Yeah, that's literally how Rocky Balboa. That's like the story arc in Rocky Balboa, and then all of a sudden,
Well, he was kind of a bitch in Rocky Balboa.
he was a bitch at all of them. In Rocky 5, he's like in the streets like a little bitch.
Well, so I don't even know if Rocky 5 is even part of canon.
It shouldn't be.
I mean, at this point, like,
It never happened.
No,
It's like Halloween. It's like the new Halloween movie. They like anything that happens after Rocky 4 is just made up and not true to the.
Well,
actual
yeah, no,
events.
like you have like Rocky 4, stuff happens. Rocky Balboa. It's basically the underpants gnomes philosophy. Profit. Like you just pretend that Rocky 5 never happened.
Yeah.
And I think like the only reason I didn't mind Milo being brought back into this movie.
Yeah.
Man, my wife watches too much This Is Us for me to know that dude's name.
Milo Ventimiglia.
I couldn't have said that part. I just know it started with a V. I mean, I remember him as the whiny dude from Heroes.
He was awesome in Heroes. Don't you ever say that,
Whatevs.
dude? First season of Heroes was the best. Was like my favorite. That was like the first like TV series that like I was like, man, I need to watch all these episodes. And then season 2 sucked, and the rest of it sucked. But that first season, Milo Ventimiglia was my bro.
No. Listen, I liked him.
Don't you come into this base without hating on Peter Petrelli.
I liked him up until like, yeah, it was season 2 that made him like awful.
Every season after the first season.
But
of Heroes.
but that's the point is like after season 2 he's like a whiny little bitch and you never want to hear him from him again.
That's the writer's strike, man. They
Yeah.
were like all our characters.
and then the
need to be
dude who
whiny.
played Spock,
Zachary Quinto.
he was really good in season 1 as well.
Yeah.
And then
Season 2, they're like, let's make you a more permanent character. And you're like, well, he's not really cool if you see him all the time.
well, no, he's not really cool if he's a good guy who's not a good guy, who's not a bad guy.
I don't know why we're going. Let's not go down the rabbit hole of Heroes. I know that there's a connection because he's in Creed 2. But
Oh no! We can go down the rabbit hole of Heroes.
no, man, I don't.
Can
honestly,
we just put let's put a bow on it. Hero season 1. Okay. And then the rest of it light on fire and cover in dog shit. Like it's awful.
That wasn't very good.
No, but we can move on after I get to
Please.
Yeah.
So this movie, obviously the big reveal in this movie is that Ivan Drago's son, Victor Drago. I mean, come on, man. You pick a more Russian name than Victor Drago.
Victor Drago.
He's the big boxer that's been in waiting. Although I didn't like this little tie-in that they had here, where it was like they were waiting for Adonis Creed to win the title so that they could reveal that they wanted to take him on.
Well,
if he really wanted to redeem his family name, wouldn't you be like, my son's a pretty sick boxer, let's get him into the main eye or the mainstream here?
Well, my thought is that he couldn't get fights. Like he couldn't get big fights before because people stayed away from the Drago name.
I guess that makes sense.
I kind of
the convenience of it was kind of just like throwing me off. But you're right, that probably is true.
the one thing I could have done without was Brigitte Nielsen at all.
No cameo.
Yeah, like her cameo, like
Two lines of dialogue and just
whatever, not even real dialogue. She basically got a non-speaking role
Yeah.
because Stallone fucked her in the 80s. I mean, Hard F's okay?
I'm okay with hard F's on my channel.
All right. Yeah, he fucked her hard. Almost ruined his career. Like that's how toxic Brigitte Nielsen is.
Hey, all I know was Rocky IV was good and Cobra was good.
Which, by the way,
if those are her only two claims to fame via Sylvester
are we going
Stallone.
spoiler free here?
Oh no, this is full on spoilers, but we can.
So I loved the restaurant scene in Adrian's where you got Dolph Lundgren there as Drago facing off, and he's like, you don't understand. It was a fight for you, but it was the end of my life for me. I lost my country. I lost my money. I lost my wife.
Yeah.
Which Easter egg, because Stallone, leaves his wife for Brigitte Nielsen in Rocky IV.
Yeah.
That's how they ended up getting married.
In real life,
So when he says that, obviously, playing a little bit of fun there.
Oh, but it's
but I was laughing inside because I'm like, that's right, Stallone bangs Nielsen.
Dude, that is just
and Rocky IV is what does it.
The thing is, though, at the same time, like this dude is like laying this guilt trip on Rock, and Rock's like, dude, you fucking gave me like severe brain damage. I
You
lost
murdered
all
my best friend.
You murdered my best friend. I lost all my money. It's like literally like my life has not been great since that fight either. You jackass.
I don't even know if he deserved redemption at the end of the movie, like because he
Drago?
because honestly he pulls up like the stoic dick routine so well.
He does.
And like when they're doing the weigh-in for fight 1, because spoiler, this is a spoiler-filled review. So when they're doing the weigh-in for fight 1, and he's like, your dad was bigger. I was like, oh, fucking murder that guy. I fucking murder him. At the end of the fight.
Dude, that one, I was ready for him to be murdered when he looks at the photo of Apollo and goes, that's a good picture. And leaves. I was like, oh, Rock, get him.
I thought there was gonna be like a Rocky V callback there. I thought we were gonna get all four,
like a fight in the ring and a fight outside the ring.
Yeah, there was gonna be a full on street fight in Moscow because like he says some dark ass shit in that movie, and he deserved to get his ass beaten in an alley. The only problem is like post cancer Rocky probably gets his ass murdered
by Drago.
Oh yeah, because he looks like he's in like legit fighting shape still in comparison.
Well, if you hear the way Rocky describes it in the movie is that. They've been raised in hate over there, and and the way that they're living, it's pretty fucking desperate times for the Drago family. So,
oh yeah, well, not except the mom, who apparently
is a like leather-clad like
Politburo, like she managed to stay high society.
Yeah,
and so like Drago was basically just her fuckboy.
I don't remember.
In Rocky IV.
I don't remember Brigitte Nielsen's character from the first movie, other than being Drago's wife, but maybe did she have political ties?
Yeah. She kind of was like, he was just basically the silent like warrior, and she was the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
And part of that was like you had also the dude in the Politburo who was like sitting next to the fake Gorbachev.
Oh yeah. I remember.
Right.
Yeah, she
And so she was like the one who was like yelling at him, like finish him, blah 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 blah. You're letting this weak American like stand up to you, and so she was like really on the insider's track the whole time in Rocky IV. So for her to remain on the insider's track,
she was a bitch in this movie. Hard, like she might have.
She's the most hateable character.
She might have. Yeah, she is. She might have sucked in Rocky IV, but in this movie, when there's a part in the movie where she
makes Drago likable.
She makes Ivan Drago likable. Not that his character wasn't like totally unlikable at the end of Rocky IV, because he does have that redeeming moment where he's fighting for himself too, not for Russia and all this stuff, which kind of plays.
And he has a few redeeming moments in this movie too.
Yes.
Like funny enough at the end of the fight. But
but
I don't want to say too much about the end of the fight.
Yeah,
though. That part I would say we leave out of this
until
review.
the end. No, we're doing it. We're spoiling it.
You want to do that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
anybody that watches my reviews knows that I normally spoil the movies.
I mean, probably be me and you watching this.
That's true. That's true.
And our wives.
Yeah, I know, but I have a.
I got people who watch this. They love the Venom shit we put down.
Yeah, it was good. This was definitely a better movie than Venom.
Oh yeah, no. So I like legit almost cried a couple of times.
That first fight, I have to say, that was one of the most brutal beatings I've ever seen in a.
Since Clubber Lang in Rocky III?
Worse. I think it was worse.
Oh yeah, it is.
I mean, the brutality and the way the camera work was great. Staying with those
final
hits.
punch, the final punch and the rib crack just one more time. I was like, I'm pretty sure I moved like that in my seat. I was like, no.
It was horrible. It was horrible. It was definitely.
I know you get Super Fight 1 and 2 in the same movie.
You really do, because it was.
That's your Rocky 2 high. That's
the only thing, and I said this the day beforehand. This movie needed all the '80s movie like montage music they had in Rocky IV. It needed Hearts on Fire. It needed.
They didn't.
All of them. All the Rocky montages.
You know, and honestly, I get it because.
It's not Rocky.
It's not Creed. It's Rocky, but it ain't Creed. So I get why they didn't pull it back into this. But what I loved is they tapped the orchestral music and they beautifully placed it in great sequences. Like the knockout song from Drago Fight 1 in Rocky 4. They pull that back into the final fight. And I was like, you're all pumped and it's not and what happens next? No, but it's one of those things where, like, the fact that they throw that in there for, like, a pivotal moment in this movie as well was like, there you go, you sold me.
And the fight goes like the final fight goes so much differently than you'd expect in a Rocky movie. Like there was a part in it, and we'll probably spoil it later, but there was a part in it where I thought that was the end of the movie, and I'm like, well, that's every Rocky movie, and it didn't end there, which is good.
Well, here's the thing I love. Here's the thing I love about the Creed movies. The boxing is more realistic. The punches thrown
to a degree.
I mean, listen, the ends of the fights, no, but like the boxing is more technically sound than any of the actual Rocky movies.
That's true.
The other Rocky one, like I love Rocky movies, but it's dudes dancing with their feet, throwing haymakers and taking haymakers and never ducking their heads, doing anything like that.
Right.
There's like legit head movement. There's real blocks.
Dude, and I don't know if
good actual punches.
I don't know if they recorded this movie at like half speed and then like sped it up, or regular speed and then sped up. But like that choreography, if it's actual speed, there must have been some serious accidental punches in this movie, because there are times when Drago's coming in on Creed and Creed's like ducking out so quick, and Michael B. Jordan, I actually think he could probably be a real boxer how quickly he moves.
I'm telling you right now, like I would never fight that dude. Between the Kilgrave scene in Black Panther, where like he beats the hell out of T'Challa and throws him off a cliff, and this movie, I'm like, that motherfucker can probably fight in real life.
Yeah, I think so. And he's huge. You know what's awesome is because in the first Creed,
he lost weight to do this movie.
He did, well, because his character in
Black Panther is so much bigger.
Was bigger. It was, but his character in Creed, the first Creed, was not as big as Killmonger. Yeah. So he had to get back to that weight. Side.
But you know what the thing though is, like, I think he's actually more like he looks stronger in like in this movie than he did in like Black Panther.
Well,
crazy rip.
They accentuate it more in boxing movies anyways. They're always sweaty and like, you know, it's always like the extended arm jabs that they focus in on, and so like you see all that shit.
Oh, I just thought because the dude had like a 13-pack. But.
All I know is when you first see Drago in this movie, Victor Drago, and you see him with his shirt off, like training, I was like, no fucking way is Adonis Creed touching this guy. Like he was a beast.
Well, the thing is like I thought like you could have 3 movies just based on Drago and his left neck muscle and his right neck muscle because
Oh my
they're
God.
goddamn, they're scary.
The traps are gigantic.
Oh my god, like yeah. I mean, if like it makes like Eric
Those are
Nelson's
traps, right?
traps
Those
look
are
like
traps,
baby
yeah.
traps.
I think those are traps.
Hey Nelly, I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah, dude, that dude, like, I don't know if he can really act, because obviously in this movie he only has very few dialogue lines, and they're in
Yeah.
Russian. He's obviously really a Russian person, which is probably, I mean, I guess he is. I don't know if he is. I've done no research on this guy, but he is fucking massive. And if this dude doesn't get put in other movies just as, like, a body for, like a barbarian or
I'm
something.
telling you, like,
He's huge.
clearly the easiest way to break it into Hollywood as a dude is get ripped. And that's like Terry Crews. That's what he did.
Terry Crews is awesome.
He's awesome. I love Terry Crews. He's
I
funny
just-
as hell.
the other day-
The Rock, his whole thing is being ripped.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well, it took the Rock. you
even
gotta
Mark
give The Rock
Wahlberg
credit.
stays. Like, he probably stays employed because he's ripped.
I hate Mark Wahlberg.
I know. See, that's my point. You just made my argument.
Boston born, but I hate Mark Wahlberg. Like, I don't know what it is.
I don't know anybody in Boston that actually likes him.
Me either. But then people are always like, oh, he's the Boston guy. It's like, dude, there are so many more actors from the Boston area that are better than him. Like, he's not our best representation.
The problem is that he's got enough like notoriety in Hollywood right now
Yeah.
that he's like like they go to like Ben Affleck and Mark Wahlberg and then it's like, oh, that's the list. Who else do we talk to now?
Yeah, everybody. John Krasinski, for Christ's sakes, is from fucking Newton.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve Carell is from Concord. Like, there's tons of Boston-based actors, but none of them have Boston accents, so nobody associates them as Boston-based actors.
I know, but oh god, it's I don't even know what to say about it anymore.
Hey, you're the one who's taking your wife to see Instant Family next week, so.
Well, that's because I need to be a good husband. Because she wants to see it because it has to do
With adopting kids? You
Yeah.
guys are adopting a bunch of kids?
potentially,
Oh.
maybe in the future. Probably just one though.
You guys need to win some money, because that's an expensive process.
Yeah.
Unless you're adopting from the Ukraine, where the Dragos were hiding out in this movie.
Oh,
See,
they
that's what we
just
call
give-
that's what we call a tie-in.
They just give them away for free. No.
But I actually really like the Drago storyline in this. Like, honestly, probably just as compelling, and like their reason, like when you see what they're fighting for and like what they're coming from and what they're dealing with, in any other movie where they weren't facing a Creed or a Rocky, they would almost be like heroes in their stories.
if it wasn't for the history
Yeah.
and the way that his father plays the cards,
Yeah.
you could see yourself rooting for Victor Drago
Part of me
because because the whole thing with like the whole thing is his mom leaves him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the loser's son, right? So Bridget Nielsen's basically like, you're out of my vagina, fuck you, baby, I'm out.
Yeah,
And
right.
basically goes, here you go, loser, take the friggin' placenta while you're at it.
Oh, it's horrible.
And just walks out the door. That's actually in the movie.
It's not. That doesn't happen.
But no, I mean, like, so you got that whole shit like that. And
Dude,
so,
the open of the movies on the Dragos, which was interesting.
I think
liked it.
I think it's because like it's funny. You would think it's Creed that is his most iconic enemy, but like as we've aged, really the Rocky
Russia
IV
is their enemy.
Rocky IV, because it ends the Cold War. Drago is like his most like devastating foe in his over Rocky's career.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it made sense to open up with them because you're like, we need to give the meat to the movie. Like, what's the motivation here? Because I mean, they open up fast. Like, he's the champ within the first like 10 minutes of the
Yeah.
movie.
Creed
Yeah,
is.
yes, yeah. Adonis becomes the champ in like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, there's
So-
three fights in this movie. One where the Adonis is taking on the current champion, beats him, and it's like a nothing fight, honestly.
Yeah,
And
dude's
but
a
it's, you know,
total
it's
bitch.
that's kind of like the Rocky 3 tie-in though, because Rocky 3 has a bunch of puff fights where he is the champion. He's taking these guys out.
There's like a few. I mean, it's never a direct Rocky 3 homage, but like the things that reminded me of Rocky 3 is the fact that like he has the puff fight,
Yeah.
loses the first fight, and then wins the rematch.
Yeah.
And so that all
Spoiler.
happens in Rocky
Just
3,
kidding.
right?
They're all
I mean,
spoilers.
Rocky 3, like that's to your point. That's
Yeah.
the Rocky 3
Arc.
timeline of how the movie works.
Yep.
And so like this follows that timeline, and that's really the only thing that pays homage to Rocky 3.
It's definitely the template of Rocky 3 with all the stuff you want from, like, you liked in Rocky 2 and 4 thrown in there.
Well, like, right. So, like, even so, the other thing that's Rocky 3-ish is like, spoiler, Stallone or Rocky isn't at fight 1, right?
Yeah, he doesn't want to train him for
right,
it.
and so like, and so he's
You
kind of
can't
like,
win, Rock.
yeah, exactly.
Except he doesn't have that moment.
and he has like a similar speech. A
little bit,
He
but-
never says you can't win.
Yeah.
he just basically looks at him and he's like,
He goes, you don't have to take this fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
the whole
thing-
raised in hate line you
The
dropped
thing
earlier.
is, and this is the other thing too, is like there's a scene in this movie where after, and spoiler, he loses the first fight to Drago, but Drago does a cheap shot at the very end.
Well, he doesn't lose. That was
It's
actually
disqualification.
That was one of the.
Drago gets
that was the
disqualified.
interesting. Like I said,
Yeah.
there's a couple interesting twists that makes the movie work better. Is like because he loses the fight to the eye, but he wins on a technicality.
Right.
Right. Like it makes it so he's still in a position where Drago has to fight him again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he has to fight Drago again to make himself not look like an asshole. But the
Like not look like a paper champion. Right?
yeah, right. Which was what the whole thing in Rocky 3 is. That's another Rocky 3 element.
Paper
But
champion. You're a paper
but
champion, Rock.
there's a part in the movie where, like, after that first fight, where Adonis is healing in the hospital, he's all fucked up, and then Rocky comes to see him. He visits him. He goes out to
Dude,
California
I
to visit
almost
him.
fucking cried.
Dude, I was so mad at Adonis Creed for that in that scene when he was like, I know he just lost everything that he cared about in his fight in the fight, but like you know that Rocky didn't do this to you. Rocky was literally trying to save you from this. If you don't think that man loves you, that was fucking crazy.
That's like, but that's the thing was like Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson, their crying on demand was awesome in this
Yeah,
movie.
they really
It was
they brought it.
it was Denzel-esque. Like
brought it.
like the tears are starting to flow. I'm like, I ain't crying. There's dust in here. Like
I was just see. I didn't have a single.
especially that scene though.
I didn't
that
have a
scene,
moment of tears except.
That scene right there, like, because you could just see, like, he just did such a good job with the pain in his face, the betrayal still feeling fresh from Rocky not being in his corner, especially
Right.
with him losing. Like, you just saw the betrayal in his eye.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing here? You can go back to Philly, and you're just like,
Oh, see, I was so
Wow,
mad.
it's
I was
really
mad at him. I
dusty
couldn't-
in here.
I couldn't let the emotion get me at that point because I was so mad. I was mad at him for acting like that towards Rock, who literally was just like, if you don't, like I said, if you didn't think that man loved you at that point, like he fucking did.
Well,
and you're a dickhead.
this is why the Tessa Thompson foil is so much better than Adrian ever was. Well, I'll tell you, if there's one thing the Creed movies nailed way better is the supporting female roles. They are so much stronger, so much better developed. Adrian's kind of like, she's just kind of one note in the Rocky movies. She always is like either the supportive or the voice of doubt, who then ends up being supportive. And like
To a degree, I agree with you. Tessa Thompson's a better actress, so obviously.
But I just like the way they
but
wrote her character better, where she like leans over to him and he's like, "You know, he loves you, right?"
Yeah.
She's the voice of reason
She
the
is
whole
the voice of
time.
reason. I
And
will
she's
give
a
you that.
strong personality from start to
my
finish.
my only issue with her in this entire movie was literally in the beginning, or not in the beginning, but I know that in the first movie they like hint that she's like a musician. And,
You don't like her songs?
That's her thing. But like, oh my god, when she sang him in to the second fight, and I know that's like his whole thing is he's fighting for him and his family, so it makes sense that she would be there to do that. But I was like, this is so fucking lame. Like,
Really?
I hated it. It was so
I thought
lame.
I liked it.
I would have liked it better. To me, it would have been better.
That's actually her singing too.
I know it is.
All right.
But I was just like, are you serious? Like she's singing about
I know,
like,
like,
she's
you
singing
have to-
about like fighting for your family, like all this stuff. I was like, what is this, dude? This is like The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I
Except
hate
better music. No.
No, it was
yeah.
horrible, and that took me out of the movie when she was singing that. I'm like, oh,
Really?
Like, this
I
would've
didn't
been-
mind that.
It would have been so much better if he had. Honestly, I would have liked it if he didn't come out to any music. Rocky didn't come out to any music when he was fighting in Russia, so it would make sense if he just came out.
I think I liked it because the whole movie is like, where's your heart, kid?
Yeah.
Like that's like the really like that's what Creed 2 is about, is like, you know, you've been knocked down, can you pick yourself back up, and where does your heart lie? And I like that it was like it tied it back. I get why you don't like it because it's overly corny, but at this point the movie had done enough to like make me pretty much like
Oh, there's Rocky
like
corny.
soft clay.
There's like 80s like Rocky fight movie corny, and then there's like this like drive the message home to the like nth degree corny.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, like I was so soft and like putty in their hands at that point that they basically could have bought me dinner and like
had their way with you.
yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I was very forgiving at that point of the movie because they did so many other things that I liked. Like I love the fight montage in this movie.
The training montage.
Yeah. I'm sorry, the training montage where instead of Moscow, right? Like they don't do Siberia, but they go to the desert.
Exact opposite.
Yeah, total
Middle of the
opposite.
desert.
Yeah, I know. They go to the middle of the desert. And he's like, man, this place is like hell. And I love the line Rock says, like, if you're gonna be in hell, you might as well get used to it.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you something. I didn't think the training montage was as good as other Rocky movies or even the first Creed movie, but
liked it.
But it had something in it that none of the other movies did. which was it had a actual game plan for the fight built into it, which I thought was awesome. So like,
the tire
spoiler,
thing.
yeah, they have a tire because obviously Drago is like 6'5".
Yeah.
and
It has like 50 pounds on Creed.
yeah, Creed's like maybe 6 feet tall at best. And like, so they're like not at all, like he's got the distance, the reach on him. In the first fight, that was very evident. So Rocky literally goes into it with as a training where there's a tire in the middle of the ring, and the guy that Creed's sparring with, he can't step out of the tire. He needs to stay in the fight and up close and personal.
And that dude literally looks like he was broken out of prison. Like,
yes.
He didn't look like he got out on good behavior.
No,
he didn't look like he did time served.
That
it
dude
literally looks like they picked him up and said, "We're going to let you serve your time here for about a month."
Training with these boxers.
beating up this kid that we know you hate because of prison gangs.
Right. That's pretty much exactly what it was. But like, so that was awesome though, because that literally was the game plan for the fight. Because like that in the second fight, sure enough, like Drago thinks he's got him. Like he's like I'm gonna take this kid just like the first fight, and this time I'm gonna be the champ. And then Creed just steps in and like doesn't let him get that distance. And like obviously it's a back and forth, like all Rocky final fights, except for Rocky 3, which is the best one. But the but like it's toe to toe, and like literally like he gets in there and like Creed's doing damage, and I loved it. I thought that final fight was dope.
See, I liked the training montage. I liked the interesting. I also liked what they did with the montage music during. The training montage. The montage music they did where it's like old world Rocky, and then boom, they drop like a real good rap verse in the middle of it. And that was like, all right, now this is the Creed movie. You thought, you're hitting it, like.
I got like a hint of in that moment, because I agree with you. It was very. This is what the first Creed movie did too. It takes like what would be a Rocky song and like throws rap elements in there, which is like obviously for him. But this one actually, because where they were training in the desert, and like he had that hammer and he was like hitting the ground with it. Like it almost sounded. I mean, I don't want to say slave driver song, but it almost sounded like a chain gang, like kind of.
It had to start to like that.
Like,
but I'm seeing him with the sledgehammer, and you know what? For me, like in my Rocky Easter eggs were popping up. I'm seeing friggin' Stallone swinging the axe in Moscow. I'm just seeing that, and I'm seeing the two of them like doing
chopping
it at the same time. Because that's what the whole thing. That was the game plan to take Drago out, chop the wood, hit him in the core, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, there was a game plan. It didn't make any sense to fighting technique.
Right.
Where like
Rocky didn't need that, man. Rocky.
Oh, maybe the best line of the movie was, "What am I supposed to just stand in front of him and get hit?" Worked for me.
Yeah.
So like that, whatever that line
he's
was.
Like, oh, he's like, you think you could? He's like, you training? You gonna train me now? You think you know how to fight? He goes, I won my fight.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was so good.
I won my fight.
Kid shuts right up. But I mean, like, I really like. I appreciate the fact that like a lot of what the Creed franchise has been in movies 1 and 2 is like a passing of the baton.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, when I was saying what could they do next, they could tell their own story now.
Rocky's not even going to be in the next one. I bet he'll be dead. They'll write him as a dead character, I think.
Or he passes in the middle of it, kind of like, Mick Diz in Rocky 3.
That would be the ultimate, actually.
Yeah.
If they did, like, but not from like some kind of a
push from
whatever.
Just like cancer. Cancer actually gets him.
He's just dying, and then he just says,
Yeah.
he, like before the final fight even happens, he says, "Win it for me, kid," or something.
Yeah.
He would never say that. He would never put that on him. But at the end, whatever fight it is, he's gonna go. If they do another one, he's gonna go out and beat him.
And then Milo comes in the ring and trains him.
The tie it all back in. It's Donis' best friend Milo.
Yeah. That he never met.
Yeah.
And he probably hates because he was always mean to Uncle.
Yeah.
I love the Unk thing, too.
Dude, you kidding?
I love the Unk thing.
He probably hates him because he's like, dude, this fucking Creed kid, you just met him and you're like closer to him than you ever were to me your entire life. Just because he boxes. I'm sorry, I couldn't box.
But see, this is the whole. This is why they never got along, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is literally the cause of the falling out in Balboa.
I bet.
Right? And so it probably rears its ugly head again at some point that we don't see off camera. And so, like, the thing is that you're right. That or he grew up now that he finally had a kid of his own because, now that we're in the dad's mode, you start to understand, like, how some of the shit your parents used to do that you didn't make any sense, you do automatically because, like, it's just what you do.
Yeah.
And so, like, and you become more forgiving of, like, the shit your parents used to do that you were like, wow, what an asshole.
Or your dad's, like, at the time, too. Yeah. I guess Creed 1 did kind of establish that Rocky was on, like, a kind of, like, self-destructive, like, lonesome path since Polly died and all this shit, and like it was just like downhill.
Since Adrian died, and it just kept getting worse.
Yeah,
he didn't
so
want anyone close.
It makes sense. It makes sense that he would be like that because what's his face was in the guy who played Polly was in Rocky Balboa. He was
Burt Lancaster.
He's dead now, right? He
Yep.
really died.
He was the only person who actually was a fighter in the original Rocky franchises. He was a real boxer.
Dude, first Rocky movie, Burt Lancaster's a fucking creep.
Oh, he's a total creep. But so is Rocky.
Rocky's a creep too. Rocky's a creep too.
Well, it's one of those things that like. Did we talk about Rapey Rocky?
Yeah, the last time.
Yeah.
The last time you were here.
That's
Full circle.
dude. Right here. This is a logical sequel then,
Yeah.
because Rapey Rocky, like, it's just one of those things that back then no one thought twice about it, but now you're like, yo, dude, girl said no.
Yeah, Rocky. Adrian was not into it at all.
Yeah.
Tessa Thompson wasn't like that though, because I think if Adonis Creed was trying to get trying to get pushy for pussy
Oh.
with Tessa Thompson, like she would have beat the shit out of him for sure.
She'd be like, my balls.
Yeah,
They're gonna go right here so you can see them, but don't touch them.
Yeah, she doesn't fuck around, but yeah, it was a good movie. It was definitely a solid. I wouldn't say it was as good as Creed 1.
See, I liked it better.
You did.
I did. I'm in the camp that liked it better.
See, I had no
I do have to
I had
say,
no expectations for Creed 1, so that is why when I saw Creed 1, I was like, this movie's fucking awesome. And then I saw this one, and I had high expectations, and it came in just not low, but it didn't have the same.
it met them.
It met them.
And so, since you had high expectations and it met them, you're kind of like, this is what I expected.
It kind of did like a wave pattern where it was like, where it came across that line that I
Yeah.
wanted a bunch, but then it dipped under it sometimes. But as with the first one was like, obviously it's going to have tie-ins and I'll kind of see it. But then when I saw Creed 1, it was like, whoa, this movie's freaking awesome. So it was like, that pattern happened with me.
The thing I have to say right now is the people who have negative reviews of Creed 2, like, or have said like things about it because it got too much tie-ins to the Rocky franchise. I want you to all go fuck yourselves.
You realize
because
this is birthed from the Rocky movies, right?
Because like
it's the same universe.
Just because this is why people hate millennials right here, because you didn't live through the 80s.
Yeah.
You didn't get to experience the grandeur that is the real Rocky movies. I don't care if you don't like the tie-ins. Eat shit, die twice.
I thought it was good. What do you think score-wise on 1 to 10? What do you think it fell in?
Oh, I mean, for me, like, I liked it better than Creed 2. Creed 2's like a...
Creed 1.
Creed 1, sorry. Creed 1's like a 7.5, 8. This is like an 8.5, 9 for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like those
That
scale.
high for you.
Well, I mean, for Rockies, it's usually between like 7 and 11 anyways. Except Rocky 5.
See, if you grade them,
no.
from like an honest like step back, not like how much you loved them, like the Rocky movies, except for Rocky 2, Rocky 1, which is the Academy Award winner.
Rockies 1 and 2 are legit
unbelievably
good movies.
Yes.
I like Rocky 4
The camp factor
for
and, like-
the amazing 80s-ness of
Yeah,
it.
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, and so for me, Rocky 4, even though it is not as good of a movie technically as Rockies 1 and 2, and I acknowledge that.
Definitely not.
It will always be my favorite Rocky.
Yeah.
And so this, I think, and this is the thing about Creed 1 and 2, is that they are the best movies in the franchise, I think, outside of maybe Rocky 1. And, because Rocky 1 is the best, and then Rocky 2 is close and is really good as well. But I think the Creed movies are probably better technically than Rockies 3, 4, and
5
and
Rocky
Balboa. I mean, if you had to rank, what we should be doing is we should be ranking the Creeds and the Rockies together.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me give my initial score. So
Yeah.
I give this movie probably a 7 out of 10 for me. It was good. And my complaints are minor, and it had enough Rocky throwback that I loved it. But as far in Rocky movies, my setup's almost exactly the same as yours. I always talk about how much I like Rocky 3 and that it's got the best fight. It does, but it doesn't. It's not the best Rocky movie at all.
Rocky
So-
3 is the best ass kicking.
Yeah.
When Thunderlips beats the shit out of because when he beats
Thunderlips fight was what it was. No, but
That's why
my
I like
Rocky
it.
rankings. I consider it Rocky rankings. Obviously, Rocky 2 is my favorite. It is. I know
Fair enough.
Rocky 1's the Academy Award winner, but Rocky 2 is just like the best for me. Like as the fights, he wins, and at the climbing of the ropes, everything. So it goes 2, 1, Creed 2, and then I think 4 and 3. and then the rest of them in whatever order after that.
Yeah, I mean, we're not too far apart on this one. It's
all
really
similar.
not that controversial.
You literally put
because
you put the.
to me, it's basically
the point is the Creed movies, and you put the Creed movies almost in the same thing, except you swapped them. But
yeah. I mean, I would probably it's really like
and your Creed movies.
I probably would. To be honest, I probably would say Rocky 1, Creed 2 for me.
Really?
Yeah, I liked Creed 2 that much.
Better than Rocky 2?
Well, yeah, I did because you got to understand, it's kind of like a sequel to my favorite Rocky movie that I acknowledge is not the best movie, but it is my favorite. It's my personal favorite. Rocky 1 is the best movie. I think Creed 2 is the second best movie, but I think probably that's my bias creeping in. But I really liked the way they paid homage to it and set the territory for this to be like the end of the homage. Now it's new stories.
Right.
And so like I liked what they did there without doing like the fast track of rapping. And it didn't feel rushed.
Yeah, it didn't. You're right.
And that's the thing. Like this sounds like they did a lot.
It didn't even seem like a long movie, which is interesting considering how much was in there.
2.5, right?
I think it was just 2, but it was a lot in there.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot in there. And like that's right, the trailer's like a half hour these days.
There was like a half an hour.
Jesus.
But,
Which I'm fine watching the Captain Marvel trailer every time I go to the movie theaters. That movie looks good.
Creed 2 was so good, and I gotta tell you, I don't know how big his role is in Aquaman, but if Dolph Lundgren's role in Aquaman is anything substantial at all, and he's got 2 movies that come out like I don't know 20 days apart, like back-to-back hits, Dolph Lundgren's fucking stock is shooting up.
Well, it's interesting though. Like, there's a cool thing with Dolph Lundgren and Stallone. There's a clear friendship where Stallone kind of like brings him into the filmmaking world in Rocky 4. Like, I think that's pretty much his first.
That was his first movie.
Yeah, which besides the fact that he's might be one of the smartest guys in L.A., freaking Rhodes Scholar.
Yeah,
because he's like, I'm big, I'm blonde, and I can probably do whatever I want, but I can also cure cancer.
Yeah. And he's like, I'll just play this Russian guy who can't
speak English.
Can't speak English.
It's like, but then he's like the Punisher.
He's got a show.
But then
he's got a show where he like talks about like science and stuff. And people like, I forget what it's called.
But like he was on the Punisher, but I mean like then Stallone kind of like brought him back to Hollywood. Like because he was like a B movie action guy for a long time there. And
Universal Soldier.
Well, then that's like the best of his movies without Stallone. Is Universal Stallone?
Actually, I think his first movie might have been He-Man. It might. I don't think he went from Rocky 4 to He-Man. I think it was He-Man to Rocky 4 because he didn't. They dubbed over his American accent for his entire He-Man in the Masters of the Universe.
We'd have to go to the tape on that one. Yeah. I don't know, but I do forget about him being a He-Man. But you have him as Frank Castle in The Punisher, right?
Yeah,
like the original Punisher, like the first
really bad Punisher.
Is that the first Marvel movie, or is it that made-for-TV Captain America?
Made-for-TV Captain America, but I don't even know if those were before necessarily the old Incredible Hulk series. I don't know which came first.
Well, no, I'm talking about movies.
I know, but I mean, I'm just thinking like the timeline of like what. You're right. Movies, it might be the Captain America one. There was an
it's either that or that Punisher.
There was an old Fantastic Four one that was really fucking terrible too.
Oh, okay.
That was like, but like that in the Captain America one came out like the same year. They were that bad.
But I mean, like all this to get to the fact that like Stallone brought him back in the Expendables, and then since the Expendables, you've been seeing him creep into other big movies again.
Yeah.
And so like, and here we are, another Stallone franchise, bringing Dolph Lundgren back into it. I got no hate for Dolph. I see him and I see the '80s, so I'm happy with that.
I like Dolph Lundgren a lot, and I really hope his character in Aquaman's awesome because it'll be great.
I got worried today. That was one of the trailers that made me nervous today.
I don't know why.
I saw that was the first time I saw the newest trailer, and the CGI looks like jack shit again.
You're fucking crazy.
You are crazy. Like jack shit again.
That looks like Avatar level CGI.
No, that looked like Steppenwolf level plus like one,
where?
like
where
2
in
bonus
that trailer
points.
Did it look like that?
Any of the times that like the humans were fighting each other, all I could see was the Steppenwolf character.
I fucking love that trailer, and I love the way it looks. They don't have. Honestly, I was concerned. When the whole movie was going to be underwater, how they were going to show it.
I mean,
I think it looked fucking awesome.
Marvel can trick me into thinking friggin' Samuel L. Jackson's 20 again, and these assholes can't even get a friggin' battle.
You are
scene
crazy.
right.
See, the thing is though, you are in such the minority on Aquaman. It's not even funny.
I'm
Literally,
fine with
the
that.
internet is fucking going nuts over how good Aquaman looks and the trailer looks. When you said the CG looked bad, I was shocked.
I think the CGI looks cartoonish again. And I think like again, like the best example of that, when he walks out in that cartoonishly lame gold suit, which, by the way,
That looks awesome.
it looks so dumb. Marvel got
There's
it
like-
right.
there's like-
Marvel got that one right by not pulling out Captain America's friggin' powder blue scaly suit.
Hey, man,
they
they're-
should have buried that thing and put it to rest.
They had the other costume in the last one. You know what they wanted this time? They're like, you know what? We're not gonna be afraid of what critics think of what this is gonna look like. We want to go with what the fans are gonna want to see.
Yo, you should have been afraid, dum dums. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
I think it looks awesome.
It looks stupid.
And the internet doesn't agree with you.
That's okay.
Everybody loves it.
That's okay. The internet's wrong all the time, except for
There's
except
nothing
when
wrong.
I'm on the internet.
There is nothing wrong with nothing has ever been put on the internet that was not 100% fact.
Oh, is it Facebook official? The internet doesn't make mistakes. There isn't like an angry mob of internet people out there that are always wrong and
There
just
are.
chasing whatever they're told they should be mad at.
Normally, they hate DC with unbridled anger, and this time they are 100% on there.
No, because here's the thing. This is the DC characters are some of the most iconic, and so people want DC to be good. I want DC to be good. But they got to
But
earn
you don't
it
want
now.
their iconic costumes.
No. Well, that one needs to go away. I
But
want
it's
them
not.
to.
It's
I
not
want
like.
them to
It's
earn
not
it.
like. It's not like Justice or
I hope I'm wrong.
the Justice Friends level bad. It's not.
100% transparency. When I saw the first Thor 1, and they showed friggin' Asgard, I'm like, oh, this looks like a mistake. It looks like a big mistake. And I was wrong. It ended up looking good, and so I'm hoping I'm wrong. I want to be wrong, because I want DC to have good movies, because they have good characters. But I had to hear about Justice League and all the hype around that shit show. I had to hear about Batman vs. Superman, the worst movie arguably ever made, and that shit
You
show.
think Batman vs Superman is worse than Justice League?
Oh my God, yes.
I thought Justice League was worse.
Oh, and then I have to hear that what is it? Man of Steel is an okay movie. Fuck that movie.
Man of Steel's awesome.
Man of Steel is the shit.
Man of Steel's really
I mean, when I
good.
say the shit, I mean it's like literally a piece of shit that smells from a mile away. It is a terrible, terrible movie.
Man of Steel did everything that I wanted a new Superman movie to do.
Yeah, okay. Well, with indestructible Lois that can survive sub-zero temperatures, that movie can go eat.
You don't know
shit.
what kind of Gore-Tex jacket she had on.
Yeah, one that didn't need a hood or a hat in friggin' Antarctica.
There's plenty of things to tie your hat on in that movie to say that it's terrible. But Lois is not one of them.
in friggin' the Arctic anyway. Like the whole thing's stupid. Like
They had to make Lois an interesting character. 'cause
she
she's not
wasn't though.
interesting.
She's not interesting at all.
Exactly. But that's in general the character.
They made her less interesting than the friggin' Christopher Reeves Lois Lane, who I'm supposed to believe is
Margot
attractive.
Kidder?
Yeah, I'm supposed to believe is attractive, and clearly
She just
wasn't.
died, actually, I think not that long ago.
I'm gonna guess from cigarettes.
No, I think she had like a
Lung cancer.
dementia or something like that.
We're gonna go with lung cancer
All I know is the
because
thing.
literally her voice sounded like
Her-
she smoked 80 packs a day.
Oh, that's right. But did
yeah.
you ever see her on Family Guy? That's my favorite thing. It's like that
No.
time we had Margot Kidder over for dinner, and they like she's sitting there at dinner table and in the Griffin household,
Smoke piling out her
no
ears.
smoke,
Oh
no
my
smoke,
God.
and they're like.
Walking ashtray.
And they're
that
like,
woman.
"Oh, we loved you in the Superman movies," and then she just looks at them and starts like barking, and then like grabs a bunch of shit on the table and jumps out the window like in his.
So they didn't really have her. They just animated her.
No, it's not really her.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
It's just apparently
Maybe that's why I was. I thought
mental.
you kind of misled me there a bit. But
Yeah. Well, it's one of those Family Guy things where it was just it was like season 4, so it was like they were still doing cutaways every 2 seconds. But
I mean, like, so I want it to be good. I really like Khal Drago there, Jason Momoa. I think he's good. I thought he was good in Justice League. I thought him and the dude who played the Flash were like the only two things that made that movie.
Aqua Bro,
You know, he is a bit of a bro. He was a little bit more. He was too much of a bro character.
you know what's funny?
But-
I heard a review today of that trailer, of the Aquaman trailer, and they said they're like when it shows what's his face. Guy who played the Green Goblin. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, yeah.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
So he plays Volko,
Norman
who's, like, the
Osborn.
guy who trains him in Aquaman and his whole. It's
By the way,
iconic character.
that looks so ridiculous.
So
He looks so ridiculous.
every time he shows up, the review I watched today, it was like every time he shows up, he looks like Willem Dafoe on screen. I just feel like he is like a child molester. It's like he just gets like a look about him, and they're talking about it. He doesn't ever look like he's playing like an honest like hero character, but just to see him, I'm like, you don't ever have the look of a hero.
No,
character.
he looks like Norman Osborn left the Green Goblin mask at home.
Yeah.
That's literally what he looks like.
Perfect casting as Green Goblin, by the way, back in the day.
No, it was a good start. It was a good start to that franchise.
Good start to everything. Was
Yeah.
that X-Men was first, right?
X-Men starts. Like Hugh
Speaking of
Jackman.
which-
Hugh Jackman's probably the guy who deserves this. Which Greatest Showman.
Speaking of which, so what did you think about Stan Lee dying?
I had to say, like, I know a lot of people were doing like the whole like rest in peace and the whole internet like that. I kind of stayed out of that. I think people get a little too into like when celebrities pass away.
Yeah.
Like they feel like everyone needs to know their opinion about that celebrity. But since you asked me, the thing about it is when you heard his wife passed about a year ago.
Yeah.
And you heard how much it rocked him as a person, and then his interviews and his cameos since then. I mean, we kind of joked about it like half-heartedly during the Venom movie review, is that you saw a man who aged like 40 years overnight.
Yeah.
And you could tell that's what happened. And
He was 95, which is crazy. The thing is, people like don't realize that like he was so
good life
with it. He was so with it for so long that when you hear he died, you're like, oh my god, this guy could have lived till he was like 110.
I mean, honestly, I think he died of a broken heart a year ago. I mean, like I think he tried his best to be brave for other people and try to be himself, but his public like he stopped going out in public as much. Also, all those things like it was like it was a slow lead to this. For about a year, and I hope he died as good as he lived, because I hope it was peaceful, it was pleasant. And he had a good life, and he did a lot of good things, and he, built the whole universe. I think one of my favorite things I saw about it was a meme where it was like Cartoon God opening a door saying like, I hear you're really good at creating universes, come on in.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, so like I don't think I could say it any better than that picture of that little cartoon.
He was just such, honestly, he was such, like, aside from what he did for comics and what he did for nerd culture across generations, he literally is just like, he was such a good dude. And like, I'm so mad. So me and Dave were at Comic-Con Boston last year, and it was last year or the year before?
2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
It was a little traumatizing.
The line to see Stan was so long that we didn't get in it. And it's honestly, now I'm like regretting we didn't do that.
Well, we did though. We did get to see it. Like we
saw him.
We weren't in the room, but we were on the balcony overseeing into the room. So we were far back, but you got to see him. You got to hear him answering the questions. And I remember cognizantly walking away from it, being like, "That's really cool. That's Stan Lee," and then being like, that's really weird. There's a bunch of grown-ass men in a room.
Can't wait to talk to this guy. But now no one gets to again, and I fucking wish we did it.
I don't know. Like, that whole convention mentality, like, the thing about it was I think you and I was, like, slightly traumatized by it. Like, I'm not a convention person. Like,
I'm not
it's just, I love those characters, but I don't pretend that I don't love them so much I have to like be
immerse yourself in that world.
Well, I mean, and I do when I'm like reading the stories, when I'm watching the films, but I don't have, and I'll wear the logo gear, like I got a freaking Hulk shirt on, so like
there you go.
I'm fine with like all that stuff. But like when it comes to like dressing up like the actual Hulk and walking around so I can buy stuff, it just feels weird.
Hey,
to me.
I would never slam anyone who likes to do that and feels like that's their escape.
No, I mean it's me.
But it's
that's
not me.
That's personal
no, I agree.
preference.
I'm the same way. Like I couldn't dress up and go out in public.
I'm not an autograph fiend.
Unless it was a Halloween party or something.
I'm not an autograph fiend at all. Like I don't see the point in standing in any line to get any one human's autograph. It's not me. I don't have that collector vibe. And so that's kind of I think where the convention falls short for me.
Yeah.
It was neat to see in person, to see like there's like so many things that I don't understand, like the cosplay influencers and like how that's an actual job in America.
Yeah. Attractive women in like skimpy outfits that like literally make their living off of wearing skimpy outfits and at Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god! But
I mean, but to your point, without Stan Lee, that's not even a job. So all those women should probably thank him.
Yeah,
and they probably did.
I'm gonna send you a link to Kevin Smith's podcast. He did one where it's his farewell to Stan Lee, and I got to tell you, I listened to that thing at work, and it had some of the funniest Stan Lee moments you will ever hear. And then it had some of the fucking saddest things you'll ever listen to.
Oh,
because
Stan
Lee loved Kevin Smith so much. Like, they were, like, so close. And, like, literally, I was at work listening to it, and I was laughing. And then at the same time, I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to cry. Like,
I bet it's good. Who did I read about? Todd McFarlane. Because he apparently visited Stan a lot in the last year. So I read like his closing thoughts on it. Like he did an interview about Stan passing with some publication, and it was good. But it kind of like confirmed what I had already suspected from my like way too removed view. Is
That you thought he was just, like, on a-
you have
he was on a
those
slide for a
weird
while.
rumors about his estate where like somebody was
Screwing
accusing
with
him.
his estate. Yeah.
Somebody was like screwing with his estate. They had like
Swindling money from him and all that stuff.
and then you have like somebody trying to accuse him of like sexual harassment,
Hey,
and
oh,
I'm like,
God.
I'm like a 95-year-old man who's probably his age caught up with him. Really, like, give me
Yeah.
a break.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like it's I just
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
He was awesome.
Which
And
there's a scene in the movie where you're looking at Adonis's corner.
back to Creed.
Yeah, it's funny because I almost bumped your shoulder during the movie about it, where it's like you have Duke Jr., you got Stallone in the corner, and then you got Random Cut Guy. But Random Cut Guy has like the perfect Stanley mustache, and I'm like, did he make a cameo in this? Is that Stanley? Is his final cameo a Creed movie
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with the Marvel comics? That would have been kind of neat, but.
Speaking of, and this is totally up
Apparently,
there.
it's like they got cameos for days.
5. Apparently, I think there's 5 in the can. They said.
Yeah,
Which is awesome.
Captain Marvel for certain has it.
Avengers.
Avengers has it for
And
certain.
I don't even know what the next one is after that. So everything's kind of on hold.
Oh, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
2.
2.
Far From Home. Yep.
Far From Home will have it.
I don't know what's after that. though.
Untitled Black Panther probably has it.
Yep.
And maybe if they already got it for the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that will
They might
probably
have done
never be
another one.
made.
They might have already done one for Guardians.
That will probably never be made.
It will. Do you know the rumor for the next director is the guy who's doing Bumblebee?
Oh, really?
What's his name? Travis Knight. People love that guy. Apparently,
Are
he's
they-
so fun to work with. Apparently,
Are they? Do you think though? I mean, honestly, I really do worry about that franchise.
having legs without James Gunn.
Well, like even the actors wanting to be in it.
It's really just comes down to Batista, who's the only one who's really put. None of the other ones are like, dude, I'm not going to make the movie.
Yeah,
And
they're not as vocally strong
Batista
about
said
it
if they used his script that he would still be in the movie. So
because he felt like it'd be respectful to James.
yeah, and I mean they're going to use this guy from everything I've read. They're going to use his script. Yeah, whether they make changes to it or not, that's totally up to them. But at the same time, it's like I know it's James Gunn's baby, but the actors.
The whole thing's weird to me though. 'Cause
Yeah.
he said some really stupid shit.
But it was like years ago.
I
And-
know
and-
he said, but he did say it. He copped to it. He owned it. He said
Mm-hmm.
he was young and dumb, or younger and dumber. And then the thing about it though is like when you look at the fact that nobody's crying that he got hired to do Suicide Squad movie,
No.
right? Like so, like the whole thing's like fake outrage to me. Like that's the whole. The internet's never wrong. Good job, internet.
Who said that? The internet's always wrong.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said that earlier.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I did.
Wait. So is the internet right or wrong? I'm lost in this
If it's for something I'm pushing for, the internet's always right. If it's for something I'm strongly against, the internet's always wrong.
And that's America in 2018.
It really is. Those are my views. I'm sticking to it. I think this is a good place to wrap.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean,
So-
I think we've said everything we could about the Creed movie. The only thing I forgot about was that weird like I had a Stan Lee moment during the movie because I'm
Yeah.
so used to him cameoing in movies I like.
Oh, you know what? One last thing we can talk about. Who should they make, and they're going to, a Stan Lee biopic? Who would you cast to play him?
I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure Christian Bale can look spot on like
Anybody? That is true. That
and we
Vice
know he's
trailer,
lost
holy
that,
shit, he
and
looked-
we know he's lost that much weight in the past.
So I thought about this the other day, and I was like, for some reason, no one was coming to mind that I think could play him. And the first person I landed on, I was like, Jim Carrey could probably play him pretty well. If you get if he dives into characters, so I really could see him doing it. But I've never seen him play like a really wholesome guy, so like that's the only counterpart of it. But then that doesn't even matter because that's not even who I would go with now. Because right after that, I was like, who would play him? And I started googling people who look like Stan Lee. Fucking Bryan Cranston looks just like Stan Lee when he grows his mustache out.
Well, so here's the thing: if you were to do a Stan Lee, I think a Stan Lee biopic wouldn't be a terribly interesting movie. But I think what would be a really interesting movie would be like the origin of like Stan Lee's Marvel Comics, like his comic book origin movie. So like so you go from like Stan as a kid to Stan like as an adult who launches like up until like he launches the X-Men or something. Like you pick like something like maybe his first superhero team, like the Avengers book or like post Fantastic Four, like in that golden age of comics.
60s.
Right, but like where the people are like talking about the comic books laws and things like that, where they're trying to get through that and like
I don't know. I feel like you could get away with. I feel like there's a good amount of story you could tell with him before he wrote the Fantastic Four because he hated his fucking job. He was going to quit comics.
Right.
And his wife convinces him to write Fantastic Four.
Right.
Oh, not exactly, but convinces him write something you want to write. He writes Fantastic Four and it just steamrolls through the 60s, writing all these iconic characters at iconic times he wrote Black Panther at a time when like black rights were like.
Well, he wrote Black Panther before the Black Panther Party was a thing. Like that's one of those things about Black Panther people get all twisted is that like the Black Panther comic happens first.
Oh, see, I don't even know that.
Yeah,
I don't even know
the Black Panther. The Black Panther comic happened before the Black Panther Party was a thing. They were not connected at all. Not initially. I mean, maybe the Black Panther Party co-opted the character because they liked how there was a strong black man in a digital or in a media.
I could just see his hand in through all the 60s and all the characters he created to, through the 80s and 90s where like this comic world started building that like people, it was a slow burn. So that's the thing. So you'd have to jump around a little, which is fine. Bryan Cranston can play the older Stan Lee and a younger Stan Lee.
Well, my whole thing, like my only thing about it is like there's not a lot of controversy in there. It doesn't feel like
that doesn't have to be controversy for it to be a good biopic, though.
I mean, I think controversy makes better movies.
I don't know. I think I would
love.
I mean, it would be a total fan service. That's all it would be. But I honestly think it would be the highest grossing biopic ever released because every comic nerd that loves the Marvel movies is going to go out and see the Stan Lee biopic.
I'll have to see. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I love the comic book movies. And I'd be interested to see what they do for it, but I don't know if like
you'd be there. You'd be there if the Stan Lee movie came out.
I mean, I'd watch it at home on my couch.
You'd be in theaters. I'd be going to see it. You'd be tagging right along with me.
Sounds like my mind's made up for me.
Yep.
I mean, I'm gonna go see Aquaman, and that's probably gonna be dumpster fire.
It's going to be amazing. All right. That does it for us here on The Loud Bostonian. Thanks for watching this video. Please tune in every time I have a new video. They're a little up and down lately. I haven't been able to throw them out as quickly as I wanted to. But you're definitely getting Aquaman. You're definitely getting Bumblebee. You might even get the Spider-Verse so I can get another one in before before that comes out. But hey, thanks for tuning in. Like the video. Comment in the bottom. Let me know what your favorite Creed movie is, what your favorite Rocky movie is, and where it falls. Where any of this new one falls on your list of Rocky movies. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Thanks for ruining my outro, you fucking asshole.